Hey guys, we got the jungler and I'm pushing bot inhibitor. Just go do Baron. Baron? ¿Qué Baron? Tú no piensas, pendejo. Tienen un jogo así un Jhin, es un 50-50. Si yo no acampa mid, tú eres un don nadie y el Jhin no estaría fidado. Tú no has hecho nadie. This is what voice chat in League of Legends could sound like if it was implemented today. Recently, I've been seeing more and more discussion on whether to add an integrated voice chat to League. And it's not a new discussion either. Most importantly, it's a very contentious subject. So I decided to get the main arguments for and against voice chat, summarize them in this one video, and try to draw a few conclusions from them. I'm curious to see what you think about it in the comments. Just to be perfectly transparent about my bias, I am in favor of adding voice chat with a few caveats, more on that later. Without further ado, let's take a look at the positives. League is a team game, and as with any game like that, teamwork is essential to winning. There's a reason why professional players use voice comms. It's a massive improvement to the speed and clarity of communication. Instead of losing control of your character to type or trying to speak in hieroglyphs, you can just say it as you go. Much faster, more clearly, and almost guaranteed to be heard and understood by our teammates. That kind of competitive edge, when present on both teams, makes the information within the teams flow more seamlessly and enable both to make plays and strategize in a way that they couldn't before, at least not without a lot of jank. Things like combo engages with Jarvan and Orianna, Ryze and Kalista ultimates. Those are difficult to properly coordinate with random people through text and pings, so having real-time verbal communication could enable all sorts of teamwork-centered moments. Another aspect of voice chat that is often overlooked is that it brings the solo queue and things like Clash and Flex closer together. Certain gameplay aspects and champions are balanced around a 5v5 environment. Just look at Azir for example. In pro play, he's always present, but in solo queue, he always sucks, no matter how high the elo. That's because he's balanced around coordinated teams. Shaker, on the other hand, is the exact opposite, making use of the lack of communication in solo queue to just run around invisible and kill people. Having both the tournament and solo queue environments have seamless communication would make it easier for Riot to balance, if only by a little bit. Now you may be wondering, what about the negatives? I mean, the game itself is old enough to screech into the mic at a Modern Warfare 2 lobby.
Whatever, liberal eating bastard.
So why hasn't voice chat been added yet? Valorant has it, and so does any other competitive multiplayer game, including Dota 2. Well, to talk about that, we first need to address the elephant in the room. Toxicity. Imagine that 04 Kassadin on your team hurling slurs at you, except instead of text, he now says it in the voice chat. Keeps repeating it until you mute his ass. There are a few nuances to this problem. You may just dismiss this negative by saying, just mute them bro. And on one hand, I agree. You could just mute the Kassadin just as you would mute his chat and pings normally. One might say it gives you a competitive disadvantage, since you can no longer hear his callouts and strategize with him. But let's be realistic. If he was just flaming you all game and spam pinging bait on top of you, chances are he wasn't really saying anything useful anyway. So now, problem solved, right? Well, not quite. I think the best argument against voice chat is that not everyone is the thick-skinned manly man gamer with a gamer man voice. In Valorant, there's a precedent for women speaking into the mic, giving a call whatever, and the entire lobby just devolves into kitchen and go make me a syringe needle sandwich jokes. It obviously doesn't happen every time, but it happens often enough to be a statistically relevant concern. If a woman speaks into the mic, let's say 3 teammates listen to the call and strategize together, but the Draven main isn't having any of it and starts flaming like crazy. The woman will mute him, as will everyone else, but what happens next game? Will she still want to try the same, or will she just stay quiet and avoid voice chat like the plague? Not only that, there's also the possibility of it becoming like in Valorant, where people get blamed for losses due to not joining voice chat. The game ends, and text chat is filled with VC diff, because your teammate preferred to ping and talk through text. In Rainbow Six Siege, where voice communication is a lot more important than it could ever be in League, I personally never had that experience. But in Valorant, I see lots of complaints about that exact issue. So it might be a difference in community culture, and guess which game is made by the same company with mostly the same community and which one is not. Now with that in mind, the reason why Riot hasn't added an integrated voice chat in League might just be because of inertia. The game has been succeeding without it for a very long time, so why fix something that's not broken? Regardless of how I personally feel about it, it makes perfect sense from their perspective. Maybe the cons outweigh the pros. Maybe the community is just too afraid of change, or they just don't think it would be profitable to add at this point, or valid reasons. In my humble opinion, an opt-in voice chat could be implemented without too much toxicity getting in the way if it could only be used by players with an honor level of 2 or above. I'm not sure exactly how the honor system works, but as far as I'm concerned, just not typing anything at all will land you in Honor 2 after a few games. It's genuinely difficult to remain in the lower levels unless you consistently flame people. You might want to argue that gives a competitive disadvantage to the team with the toxic players. Well, yeah, but if they remained at Honor 0 or 1 for very long, they probably weren't going to say anything useful in the first place. League is never a perfectly balanced game. Even today, having someone constantly flaming you in text chat is a competitive disadvantage, and so the worst case scenario is that with voice chat, things would remain more or less the same in that regard. If the player really cares about being able to chat through voice and make real-time tactics and callouts, getting to Honor 2 is only a matter of not being a deterrent to the team. It's a matter of time really, so it wouldn't be too inaccessible for new players. But I'm not the solutions man. And as much as I'd love to keep speculating about it, it's up to Riot whether they want to add voice comms or not. What do you think about it? Type it out in the comments below and leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. I should probably shut my trap now because this video is quite a bit longer than I intended. Cheers.